tell us about Sherwood Oaks.
Sherwood Oaks is a film school. We've been going a long time, and we've changed forms and attitudes. And the most recent thing we've decided is so much of in film has to do with relationships. So we try to create an atmosphere where it's fairly easy to meet people. So instead of having one panel of 6-8 people and a crowd of 200 people, we have one panel that lasts 7 minutes for people to introduce themselves, and then this panel, 6 or 7 people go down among the audience, and they each sit at one table. So you would have one guest at one table, and you have 9 writers and filmmakers. And this means it's a more intimate setting. So though there's no rules, regulations, no lectures, they're just discussing the art and business of filmmaking in a very informal way. And the purpose of this really is not just information, it's really to meet people. So this way it's not just about, can I give you my material, can you make my movie, will you finance my movie? It's like, can we work together? Is this guy someone I could work with? And maybe the filmmaker, the guest, maybe is thinking the same way. So that's what Sherwood Oaks is doing. It seems to be very effective.
Can the writers pitch their stories to the people at the tables?
It's tricky because the problem is, it's not exactly you can't, but the problem if somebody does and other people start doing it, then it just becomes everybody pitching their story. So if everybody did that, sat there and pitched their story, the whole session would be each person pitching their story. And I don't think that would be effective. I mean, pitching has its place. I don't particularly like it that much. I think it's based upon people's idea that somehow if I talk, people make my movie. And I don't think movies come about that quickly. They take place over a period of a long, long time. It's more about knowing the person, finding someone you want to work with, seeing if the person is smart, and just trying to get your material in that, shove it down that space till someone makes it. I think is thinking that doesn't make sense to me. Okay. It's not realistic, actually.
Okay. Do you invite all different types of professionals to your workshops?
Well, yes, but I try and focus on people I think are more open. In other words, I know the biggest names will be the best. So if you get people from Jerry Bruckheimer's office, and Scott Root and Joe Silver, that's going to be attractive. But I don't think that's that effective, because those companies, how high-profile companies, they get scripts from the biggest people, and they work with the biggest actors. So that may seem interesting to a new writer, but I think it's kind of a dead end. So I try and focus on people that are making smaller movies, have smaller companies. When I look at a book and I see 10 people working for the company, I tend not to want the company to come, because that means somehow somebody has to go through all these chains of people for anything to happen. The ideal situation for me is there's 2 or 3 people in this company and they're making very good, excellent, top movies. That's my ideal situation.
Okay. Do you have one location where you hold your workshops?
No, when it was available, Beverly Hills is always a good place because a lot of the agents, producers are there. So whenever I can do anything in Beverly Hills, I do. I use the Crown Plaza. This event, we chose the Beverly Garland because this is one of the places that we really wanted people to sleep here and be kind of like a live-in thing for about 3 days. And they gave us a really great rate of $139. So we have 10 or 15 people living here, staying here, and then we have all these people coming in for 3 days. It's kind of more of a campus feeling, which I kind of like.
How long have you been doing this?
It's so long I can't remember. Let's see, I think it's, I started in 71, started with occasional seminars, and then around 75 I started programs, and then I did that very much that way, where we had big crowds and famous people doing classes for us, Lucille Ball, Richard Dreyfuss, and George Carlin, people like that. And then, about 7 or 8 years ago, I reorganized into what we're doing now, but usually small groups, going to studios, going to award shows, things like that, and maybe once or twice a year, bigger groups.
Any special format that you focus on your workshops?
No, I just like somehow to always make it like you can meet the person. I just hate these things you go to, and there's 3 or 4 or 5 noted filmmakers, and there's an audience of 100 or 200, and it's over. Everyone rushes to the front, and they rush there with their business cards, and they try and give them a script. It's just too desperate and not realistic. So I like to avoid that. I like to make I see desperate is not the way to be in the film industry. So I try and create a situation where you could talk to anyone you want in our group. They're there, they're in a panel, they're at a table, they're afterwards, they're eating lunch with us. So that's what I try and do.
Oh, so the writers can sit down and have lunch and dinners
we have a lunch.
with the
Every
talent?
time we do any event, we always have a lunch, and we say, would you like to pay for our lunch? We charge what the hotel charges us, and every table will have a guest speaker. So that's what we do. So we'll have we always have a lunch.
Who are some of the top name people that you've been at your workshops over the years?
Well, I said guest speakers or alumni?
Guest speakers.
Well, I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, award shows: Warren Beatty, James Cameron, Quentin Tarantino, Francis Ford Coppola. Oliver Stone. We've had the heads of every major studio.
Okay, and some of your alumni over the past 25 years?
A great group of alumni. James Cameron made the biggest movie of all time, started at Sherwood. Sylvester Stallone shot Rocky when he was a student in our place. Paul Haggis had just come off TV. He was trying to have a film career, and he started with us. Nancy Myers, a very big women film director, started at Sherwood Oaks. Sid Field had never taught before, taught for us. Bob Mickey had never taught for us. Michael Hay started taught for us. Matt Groening, who created Simpsons, began with Sherwood Oaks. Tom Selleck, I think he was acting then, but he began to take directing classes with us. Tom Schulman, who wrote I think he won the Academy Award for Dead Poets Society. Jerry Zucker started with us. Dean Devlin started with us when he was 14 years old. There's hundreds of people that started with us, so eventually became very successful.
Okay, what advice can you give a new writer coming into town?
What I would say is move to LA. Really important. After you move to LA, do whatever you have to become an intern. It makes all the difference in the world, because once you're an intern, even though you don't have an important position, you're inside the industry and outside. And once you become an intern, ask to read. Because once you start reading scripts and you realize how bad most things are, it's a whole new awareness. People who are trying to be writers have some odd, unrealistic fashion how they can be successful. They come to LA, they're going to get a major agent, they're going to go to a pitching event, they're going to sell the script, they're going to work with Spielberg. This is all nonsense. It doesn't work that way. The idea is it's a poker game and you want to get any level you can.
Okay. Any last things that you can say to the audience about your program?
No, just because you work hard, you put in effort, doesn't mean you're going to be successful. You have to figure out what the real game of Hollywood is. It's not what people think it is. So as long as you're going to make the effort and energy, put money and time in this, you got to figure out what you really have to do, not what people think you're supposed to do.
And what is the real game of Hollywood?
The real game of Hollywood is all about relationships. It's not even about material. It's ridiculous. All the movies I've made, all the movies my brother's made, all the movies everyone I know, someone knows somebody else, and they go, oh yeah, I'll read that, I'll work with you, and it happens over and over and over again. Now eventually, if you get successful, and you get to be if you're a fantastic writer, the relationship with art is important. Very few people are fantastic writers, almost nobody. There's a small group of writers, Paul Schrader and Steve Zalian and William Goldman. People like that. There's 40, 50 writers. Everyone else is not at that level.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.